Gaming Zeta presents First Turns. What's up, everyone, and welcome to Joe Gamer Zeta, a place for Game Joe Games and only Game Joe Games, and welcome to the season finale of First Turns. I'm your host, Joshua Hill, and today we're going to be looking at some of the highlights of the first season. This season has been pretty interesting. We've had some ups and downs, some highs and lows, some ins and outs, and all sorts of things as we've tried to develop this season in basically a week. Thank you everyone who's come by and looked at the videos, taken the time to subscribe, and all the comments that we received throughout them. You've helped out so much. And today we're going to be looking at a couple of those things that y'all helped achieve, starting off with our most liked video, which is 3 likes, and it's actually one of our top 5 of one of our categories. I can't remember which one quite off the top of my head, but we'll see when it gets to that point. Anyways, the video is Through the Killer's Eyes, which was where I was playing the game Eyes of Horror. And thank you everyone who came by and liked that video, took a time to look at it. It was 3 likes, not a very big number, but it is the most liked video for this season. The next thing that y'all guys contributed to was our most viewed video, and at a whopping 40 views for the first week on YouTube. That is really not too shabby considering all the other videos got well under that. We're looking at Tricks or Treats, which was me playing Fat Duck Burger Run. Thank you guys for coming by and looking at that video. I hope you really enjoyed it. Didn't get many likes, but that doesn't mean y'all didn't enjoy it. So, thanks for coming by and checking it out. Finally, we're going to be looking at the most interesting comment that I received on the channel for this season. It was from Tofu Sheets, and it was on their game, Recount Reclaim, which was the titled A Pleasant Surprise. In it, they say, "Thanks for playing. I enjoyed your playthrough video and reactions. I'm so happy you're enjoying the storyline. This is one of my less gameplay focused RPGs and more story focused. I actually do make VNs on Rimpy a majority of the time, and my second favorite game for games is RPG Maker. My recommended order of playthrough when you receive the choice is Rewind, Regen, and Revise. Oh, and by the way, the cloak guy you saw, he does have a voice, not in this scene, as he's a character from another RPG game I made called Crystal Caper Memory Chronicle Finale that I created for the very first So Bad It's Good jam, and also on Game Jolt. In fact, all my RPGs are connected to it somehow, in some way, and like this one, has voided cutscenes. So if you are curious of that man's epic adventure, CC is where he reaches the final fragments here in the RCRV. I hint that his adventure just started as he goes across looking to save his beloved. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed playing the rest of the game. About the DLC jokes, no worries, they were removed. The only thing that remains are the blockers, LOL. So, yes, I'm actually interested in playing that game. And the reason that this was the most interesting comment to me is because that's a lot to type for one comment on YouTube. I respect it. I am not insulted. It was beautiful. I liked it. I loved it. That's why I took the time to read it. But it was the most interesting to me because they took a long time to type that out. So, kudos on that. Moving right along, we're going to be looking at the top 5 games. Now, these are games that I personally liked above everything else for different reasons. Now, just because your game did not make the top 5 does not mean I hated your game. Because the way I work it, if I like your game, it's coming up on the channel. So, I liked each and every one of the people's games I play. But these are the 5 people that really felt like exemplified what I'm looking for on this channel. So, here you go. Here's my top 5 for the first season of First Turns. Number 5, The Elf Who Slaughtered Christmas. Now, this was a fun little first-person shooter that really gave me quite a enjoyable time. Unfortunately, it was very short, and there was only a couple of weapons that you could actually pick up. But once I figured out where the weapons were and stuff, it was actually pretty fun. The reason it's so far down on the list, unfortunately, though, is that it does not have much replay value unless you decide to play it through and do some your own challenges and stuff like that. I'd like to see if the creator would add more to it as the time goes by, but from what I understand right now, they have left it as it is. Number 4, Recant Reverse. Now, this was a fun game made in RPG Maker. I especially love the fact that everything, almost everything, seemed to be voice acted. That means that I got to save my breath on a lot of the storyline. Unfortunately, I didn't get a lot of gameplay played through it, so I can't exactly fully judge on how well the game balances and stuff like that. And with that in mind, that is why it is number 4 on our list of top 5s. Number 3, Fluffy Gore. Despite the fact that this is not a normal game that I like, I am not a fan of the whole clicking the mouse while controlling the characters. I did like the fact that it had unlocks and things that the character could get by simply playing the game and getting better and better. So it's a game that I myself will probably play in the future, and thus why it has gotten a spot on the top 5. Number 2, Viola, the Heroines Melody. Now, this game was nicely put together and it had a very beautiful storyline as well as nicely created gameplay. The rhythm mechanics worked really well for the game, and also it seemed like the characters were going to be characters I was really going to like. The only downside to this was the items didn't seem to work in battle, which is why it got number 2 on this list. Number 1, My Celestial Journey. This game has everything. It has a colorful cast of characters, an interesting, engaging storyline, gameplay that works well with each other, and I get to go to different worlds and explore different galaxies. Well, maybe not so much galaxies, but I get to have fun out in space. Who wouldn't want to have fun out in space? Plus, I get to date aliens at some point. Haven't gotten to that point yet, but pretty sure I'll get there. Also, I'll be playing this game on my channel as a full gameplay as soon as it's done. So, thus, it has been given the first spot of the top 5 of this season. Okay, and now we're going to continue on with our tops with a top 5 most promising games. Now, the way this works is that these games have the most promise that I see out of all the incomplete games that I've played throughout this season. These 5 games are the games that I feel like show the most promise of being really good games and having a very good chance of making something of themselves. So, without further ado, let's look at the first top 5 promising games. Number 5, Eyes of Horror. Now, this game actually took me by surprise because I'm not really a big fan of horror games in general, especially first-person games. But this game had a lot to offer. It allowed you to unlock new monsters that can come after you. It had different difficulties, and you could even unlock new areas that you can go exploring. The downside is that this game's mouse did not seem to accurately pinpoint where it wanted you to click, and there was not a tutorial that let you know what was going on. With these things being fixed, I think this game could be a very nice looking game. Number 4, Cool Story RPG. Now, this game may have had a lot of bugs and glitches in it, but I see a lot of potential in it. The camera needs a little bit of work, and there was too many items I felt like for the first level. However, the game did seem to handle pretty well. Combat was a little sluggish, and it didn't seem to always click right. But for a game that's a work in progress, this has a lot of promise to it. So I hope that they'll be able to fix all the things and iron it out and make it even better in the future. Number 3, Heroes of Time. This game was actually a really solid game. It had a nice little storyline going for it, and it looks very promising. I like the whole concept of going back in time to stop an evil scientist who's trying to wreck the world and stuff like that. The only really glaring issues with the game right now is that the full translation is not in English, about a couple of places that had a different language, and the combat seems a little off. It seems like the enemies are too easy to beat, and some of the items seem to be easy to find that I feel like should be later on in the game. But other than that, the game itself looks pretty solid, and it looks very promising for the future. Number 2, Roll of Remains. Now, this game actually took me completely by surprise when I saw the first opening cinema. It reminded me a lot of Silent Hill's graphics and stuff like that, and that is not an insult. This is a very nicely made game, in which you are feeling for the protagonist towards the beginning. Unfortunately, I don't get to play very much of it, but when I did play, it seemed pretty tightly put together, except for a little bit of problems with the tutorial part of the game, and occasionally the game will freeze on me. Other than that, the game looks very promising, and I'm looking forward to playing it again in the future. Number 1, My Brother's Journey. As far as games where you control two characters simultaneously, this game was actually one of the easiest ones for me to grasp. The graphics were quite beautiful, and the story of the two characters is very appealing. I'm curious as to why the little boy is so small and what the girl plans to do when she gets out of the village. The glaring issues with it are the fact that you don't have a menu, so you can't see what items you collected, and the fact that you restart the game and the speech bubbles seem to have no words in it, so you have to guess at what you're trying to figure out. Other than this, the game was very nice, and I'm looking very forward to how it appears in the future. I believe it is worthy of the top title of the most promising game of this season. So that we can understand how these top fives work, now that we've actually had our first two top fives, the most promising and the top will never be the same game. I am differentiating this for y'all to have a top five, and then there are top five promising games that may not have gotten on the scale of top five, but they still showed so much promise that they deserved a category all on their own. And so it was difficult for me to make these choices because, like I said, every game was good. All the games were really nice. I enjoyed this whole season. Hopefully, I get to enjoy every season, and it is difficult for me to make these decisions. In the future, I'd like it to be. I'd like to get a top five of viewers' choice as well, and top most promising of viewers' choice. But we'll figure out how we're going to do that as the seasons continue. Also, these last episodes, I'm going to try to make 30 minutes. It apparently is not going to happen for this episode. I am sorry to say, but that is basically all we have to talk about this episode. Thank you, everybody who's come by. Thank you for supporting the channel during this first season. I hope you have enjoyed watching every one of these videos. And we are going to be continuing our run of seasons next week, tomorrow, with a very special game. I don't fully know the order of the season for number 2 because my darling roommate has chosen the order for this season of season 2, so we're going to try that. I was debating whether to go random, as in where I draw a card, or let my roommate decide. But we went ahead and let my roommate decide. I hope she doesn't mess me up. But we're going to see what happens. Anyways, I will see y'all in season 2. If you have enjoyed this episode, please give me a like and subscribe for more videos in the future. Go check out every one of season 1's episodes. Not just the yeses and the nos, or the favorites and the not favorites. Go ahead and check them all out because they're all good and they all have the right to be on this channel. So I will see you guys in the next one. Links to the tops are in the description below. And yeah, that's about it. I'll see you later. Bye! Thanks for watching, and remember, subscribe, check the links below. Come on back for another video.